Hey guys, wanted to apologize for not being there, but I also wanted to make sure give you some info about the peer edits you need to get done. So what I've done is I've done a couple peer edits here to show you the depth I'm expecting you to go to, and kind of walk you through my thinking as I'm looking at your paper, so you know, one, what do I look at, but two, what should you be looking at as you're reading your peer's paper. So I went and pulled two essays that have been submitted already, two zero drafts, and did a peer edit on them. First thing I want to point out is you can see here, both of these have quite a few marks on them. They're not perfect. They've got some errors, some things to fix. But because they're zero drafts, they're still going to get 100%. A zero draft is just about getting your ideas on paper in paragraph form. It's not about being perfect. So when you're sitting there staring at a blank page trying to think of the perfect word or the perfect sentence, that's not what you should be doing with a zero draft. You should just be getting your ideas down. So, the first thing you want to look at when you're doing the peer edits, the most important thing is the content. What are their ideas? And those are the things I've written in blue here. So I always start with, after I've read the paper, do they have a clear thesis? You can see here, this paper is missing a thesis. There's not a sentence that tells me this is what this paper is setting out to do. If we look at this paper, it has a thesis. It's not a wonderful thesis, it's not an amazing thesis, but it is a thesis, which is a starting point. That's what we're looking for right now. Remember, we're in step one of a multi-step process. So this essay has, this advertisement catches the viewer's attention through a picture of the product, weasel words, and a brief description. That tells me what this paper is setting out to explain. If I go up here, this paper doesn't have that sentence. It says, if you have a Jordan brand product, have more than one of Jordan products, too late, you're already a part of it. That doesn't tell me what this paper is going to be about. So when you're reading your peer's paper, make sure they have that thesis that's telling you what is that paper setting out to do. What's their argument? It's a sentence that you can explain your paper to someone else. If you think back to my zero draft about the Chevy truck ad, my thesis could be something like, my paper is about how this Chevy truck ad is deceptive. That's a very basic thesis, but it's a starting point. This advertisement for a Chevy truck is very deceptive because blank, blank, blank. That's a thesis. So look at, does your paper you're reading have a thesis? Then you start looking at, does it have the other stuff it should have? Does it have context? That's the background info in the introduction. Maybe it's a history of the company, what kind of products they sell, or things like that. The context is simply what information does the reader have to have in order to understand your paper completely. Don't assume your reader knows what you're talking about. In this paper, the context could be maybe something about Michael Jordan and the history of Jordans or things like that. In this paper, the context is also missing. Maybe something about Tillamook, cheese, history of the company, or something like that. But what kind of background information is going to help the reader understand the paper? Then you get into the body paragraphs. And remember, I keep telling you, the body paragraphs are really where you're earning your grade. So the body paragraphs are the most important paragraphs in terms of how well a paper does. Start with, do they have a claim? Do they have a sentence at the beginning of the paragraph, a topic sentence that tells you what the paragraph is going to prove? This one does not. This one opens with a summary of the ad. The summary of an ad is not a claim. If we look at this paper, it has basic claims. Again, it's fine that they're basic right now. We're just looking for a starting point to start improving them. So you can see the ad. You can see here the ad also brings the viewer's attention by putting a picture of the product on the ad. So this tells me that this paragraph is going to explain how the picture draws the reader's attention. That's a claim. What is this paragraph going to prove to me? So you want to make sure they've got claims. Then probably the biggest mistake I saw in the Malcolm Gladwell papers was a lack of analysis. When you're reading these paragraphs, if all you're reading about is what is seen in the ad, that's a summary. That's not analysis. If you look right here at this paper, this is a summary. There are more than one superstar in the ad. Michael Jordan isn't the only one. So fans would probably want to buy their favorite player's gear. That's not explained to me. So if all you're reading about is what is seen in the ad, that's not an analysis. You need to make sure the paper you're reading does the analysis and that they're using those sources. So how is the ad working? How is it doing what we've read about in the sources? How is it creating a need? How is it making the customer feel like they have to have this product? Are they using any weasel words? What are they? Why are they weasel words? Why would they use them if they know they're weasel words? How do those words work? Those are all those kind of questions that are in the prompt that you need to make sure the paper you're reading is answering. Pure edits should take you a little bit of time. You should be taking 15, 20 minutes to read a paper and comment on it. If you're getting done with a peer edit in 5 minutes, you're not helping that person. That's why I haven't assigned you to do as many peer edits this time around. I'm asking you to do 2 peer edits. So total, if you took 20 minutes on each one, it should take you less than a class period, 40 minutes. But you need to go into detail. You really need to get into their paper. Don't just read through it and say, this was good, this was bad. Look at, do they have a claim? Do they have a thesis? Are they doing analysis? If we go to this paper down here, look at the so what. Why is this important? That's missing from this paper. It does very basic analysis, but then you can see right here I wrote, how is this deceptive? Why is it deceptive? So what? Why should I care? Why should I, the reader, care that this is what the ad is doing? That needs to be in every body paragraph. It also needs to be in the conclusion. You want to broaden the conclusion back out. What should the reader do now? What's the next step? That needs to be included. So you're looking at the content. Again, that's the stuff I wrote here in blue. You're looking at the content. You're also going to look at the fluency, the grammar, the mechanics, the flow of the writing. That's all of the stuff I've written in red. Correct mistakes you see. If you notice they're not capitalizing I, point that out. That's the kind of mistake that cannot happen in college level writing. That's the kind of mistake that some professors will fail a paper for because it's a mistake of laziness. All of you know the letter I should be capitalized. To not do it just means you're simply being lazy. Point those mistakes out. Look at the diction. This is a college English paper. It should sound like a college English paper. If it doesn't, point that out. Offer suggestions. If they're using the word you or your, highlight it. It needs to be fixed. There shouldn't be any second person. Be careful of using too many rhetorical questions. Random capitalization. Don't use contractions. Don't use acronyms. I know GOAT is greatest of all time. You cannot assume your reader knows that. This is a formal paper. It should sound like a formal paper. This is where you start to make those suggestions. Don't wait until the night a paper's due to start looking at this stuff. Help them with their MLA. If their MLA is wrong, point that out. Zero draft didn't need a title. We're moving beyond the zero draft. Start looking at titles. So you're not just looking at content, you're also looking at how does the paper look, how does the paper sound. Does it sound academic? If it doesn't sound academic, point that out. Make suggestions. Offer help. If you get confused, point out, I'm confused here. I don't get what you're trying to say when you say, and then give them where you get confused. Don't just say this doesn't make sense. That's not going to be helpful. You can say, I think you're trying to say this. And if that's not what they're trying to say, they know they need to go back and fix it. Ask questions. You can see here, I put why profit. So this sentence says, not rushed for the sake of profit. So I'm asking this student to think about, why would the company choose to use the word profit in their advertisement? I'm asking how. So what? Up here, I'm asking questions. What's it? Where are the sources? How is the ad working? Ask questions. Help each other make your papers better. So you've got 2 peer edits to get done. Like I said, it should take you about 40 minutes, 20 minutes per paper. That's more than enough time to get done in a class period. Please take advantage of the class time. Based on what I've been seeing, I'm going to stop offering class time to work on this if you guys don't use it. If you have questions, I'll be back Monday to talk about it. You have these peer edits to get done. Please get those done, and I will see you next week.